Alright, I am back. So, previously I've done a video on Junkrat as well as I did a video on Tiberius. And I made these videos that were more or less just like kind of like love letters to the characters. And what I liked about the characters and how I preferred to play the characters. And I want to do this with, you know, as many characters as I can. And these videos are a lot more like casual. They're just more me, you know, going around, just showing off some stuff and being like, this is pretty cool. This is what I do with this and blah, 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 blah. I wanted to do one for Azan and then I wanted to do one for Zen. And then I wanted to switch to more like a fighting game gear. I wanted to do like a Brian one and a Urian one and all that kind of stuff. And then Marvel Rivals came out. So I kind of got sidetracked with all of that. And I'm just like, you know what? I got some Marvel Rivals to do. I just need to make some... So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to make some Marvel Rivals videos and all that kind of jazz. And Loki is the one that I'm going to do. And I'm going to try and make as many Marvel Rivals videos as I can until I really get bored of doing them. Because the truth is I don't like this game. Heresy! Heresy! How could one say such horrible things? Yes, I don't like Marvel Rivals. I know, it's unimaginable. I don't like Marvel Rivals. I don't think the game is very good. I think the game is ass, and people just like the game because they want this game to succeed, just because they want Overwatch to fail, and I think that's the only reason people are gravitating towards these games. And there's a lot of problems with this shit, but you just can't address it, or else you're a fucking horrible person if you try to talk about a lot of the issues that this game has. So... but that's not what this video is about. This video isn't about my problems with the game, and if you are caught up on this, go the fuck away. I don't like you. Leave a dislike. Put, this is extraordinary amount of rage bait in the comments, and get the fuck out of here, right? Because, I don't like you, I don't want you around, and, you should leave, right? So, Loki. That's what the point of this video is. And I need to run, before we really get started, I have to run through a couple disclaimers first, right? First of all, this is not a guide. As I said, these are not guides. This is just what I like to do with the character. I'm not teaching you how to play the character. And on top of that, I also don't believe in guides. I think guides are horrible. Guides are terrible. They are only exist just for clicks and views. If you really want to improve, just look at what other people do, watch other people's gameplays, take the good, leave the bad, right? That's really how you improve. Guides are worthless and a waste of your fucking time, but that's not here nor there either. This is not a guide, this is just how I prefer to play the game, and I also just want to clear the air on some stuff and some thoughts about Loki. And second of all, I am not a top or a pro player. Do not take my word for anything. Take my word with a grain of salt. Also, this game has only been out for a week, which means you should further take whatever the fuck I say with a grain of salt. As well as take everything else other people say with a grain of salt. This is very important, right? There's an old saying, what is it? If you seek the truth, hold no opinions, right? Don't come in here with already preconceived notions about fucking whatever Necro's told you. If you're doing that shit, leave, right? And I guess technically I am a top player now, so I need to flex my credentials as well, because if I don't do that, then somebody's going to come in here and say, you don't know what you're talking about, you're an idiot, you're bronze, discredit the video and leave, right? I am not in fact bronze, and I haven't played this game. Today is December 16th, Monday, and I haven't played this game since December 13th, Friday. Right, and within that first week, I pretty much only played the game for about this first week, and I got to Diamond 3. And pretty much the whole time I played the game, I was in that top 1% range, and I've stayed in that top 1% range. And by the time I got to around Diamond, Diamond 3, the bottom of top 500 was Diamond 2, right? So I didn't do too bad, right? I stayed within that sort of, just a little bit behind top 500. I don't think I ever got to top 500, and I'm not going to flex like I am top 500 or anything like that. And plus, it's only Diamond. It's not that big of a deal, and rank inflation is going to hit it in a second, so who gives a shit anyway? As well as you have all the Chrono Shield and bullshit, so there's a bunch of rank inflation anyway, so the rank doesn't really matter all too much, but I know enough, I think. as well as not a lot of people, I think, are playing Loki right. Not a lot of people are playing Loki the way I think he should be played, and that's why I think a lot of people are throwing this character the wayside. And getting a lot of bad opinions on it, and I just don't see a lot of Loki representation either. He's probably seen the least amount out of any of the other supports in the game, which is truly a travesty, because I think he does offer a lot, and I think this leads to the whole illusion of him being low tier. So, now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's actually get into the game. Let's actually get into the the meat and potatoes of this and the point of this video. So let's start with the basics. The basics. His gun sucks ass. On paper, all of this shit sucks ass. So it does about 30 damage each shot, and is this sort of magic missile exploding projectile, right? Very like slow to medium moving projectile, explodes on impact, and has 10 shots and quite a long reload speed. He's got to jerk off his staff every time he has to reload, which takes a minute or two, and isn't great, especially because not only is this his damage and does about 30 damage, which is not great on its own, this is his healing, and it does 40 healing per shot, right? And it has a very slow fire rate, very low damage, overall DPS, it's fucking terrible. Yeah, so already not off to a great start. However, he has the clones. And when playing this character, he is very reminiscent to another character, which is Ying from Paladins. But he's not exactly like Ying either, because Ying's clones are very basic. While Loki can swap between his clones just like Ying does, Ying oftentimes can swap back and forth between the clones, and the way Ying works is her clones are less like clones and more just totems in the end of the day, right? She sets down the clones and they'll just passively heal anybody near her without any directive from her at all. And then she can just swap between them, and when enemies are nearby, she can set them to detonate. Loki doesn't work like that. Throws out a clone, and they'll do whatever you do. They'll aim wherever you aim and copy whatever action you copy, except for your movement, of course, right? So this is basically going to double my damage and double whatever I'm capable of. So I already do 30 damage. This instead is going to do 60 damage, right? And then I do 40 healing, and this instead is going to do 80 healing. Right? So it's going to double whatever I do. And this is about average. So basically, without a clone, he does fucking nothing. He doesn't do a whole lot. He doesn't do a lot of healing. He doesn't do a lot of damage. But with one clone, he's basically equivalent to Luna Snow. And this is something I got a lot, is people telling me Loki is the worst support in the game and saying I'm throwing and telling me to switch to Luna Snow. Fun fact, Luna Snow does roughly about 70 healing a shot. So here we are at 320. Boom, that was one shot. And we'll just round that up to 390, right? So she does roughly about 70 healing per shot. Now, we're not including her shift ability, which is, of course, very strong. But that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, Loki with just one clone does about equivalent healing to Luna Snow, as well as his fire rate isn't too off. Now, her fire rate is a little bit faster, so this makes her, not DPS, but HPS, healing per second. This makes her HPS a little bit faster, because her fire rate is, I think, a tiny bit faster. I haven't tested it. I'll test it in post and show you it in post. But it's a tiny bit faster. It's a little bit faster than Loki's shots, as well as I don't think it's a hit scan, but these projectiles are so fast it might as well be. Which Loki, one of his big issues is he's got slow-moving projectiles, so you have to account for all that projectile speed. It's not really a factor with Luna Snow. So it does make Luna Snow a better healer for if you got something like Iron Man or just longer-range shit in general, right? However, this is another thing, is this explodes. So Loki does a great job at healing multiple allies at the same time. Kind of hard to show it here. But this is an explosion, so he can do good multiple healing to multiple targets at the same time as well, right? And then you throw down 3 clones, and now he's going to do a fuck ton more damage, as well as a fuck ton more healing than Luna Snow. So already he's got her beat. That's about 120. He does about 40 plus 40 plus 40, 120 healing per shot. You got 250 health for the average character. You can do the math. That's about 50% of your health right there, right off the bat. That is very good. Very, very, very good. He does about 50% healing per shot as long as he's got 3 clones in your line of sight. Now, then you have his damage. It's a 4-shot kill technically, but it's basically 3-shot. They'll be so low, if they're nicked by anything, they're going to die. So you can actually do a decent amount of damage if you have all these clones out as well. But that's where the difficulty comes in play, because somebody's going to come here and say, well, these clones get destroyed so fast, you know, it doesn't even matter. You know, it's very rare you're going to get all the clones out, and people are just going to destroy them, so it doesn't really matter, right? And that's what makes Loki bad. The clones are so easy to destroy, and blah, 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 blah. This is true. This is true. And this is where the difficulty with Loki comes into play. And this is really where the tricky stuff happens. And really how what you're supposed to figure out in playing Loki is clone management. Managing your clones and not just letting them go to waste. Trying to squeeze out the most amount of use out of your clones. And trying not to get them popped as fast as possible while actually being able to heal. Now the first thing you can do, of course, is very simple. I like to put them out of the line of sight of the enemy. So let's say the enemy is right here. This is the enemy team. They're right around this corner. And our team is right here. Of course, I can just put all my clones here around a corner, around a bend. So, of course, I'm in line of sight of my allies. I can go in and heal my allies willy-nilly. And, but the enemies can't hurt me. And that's fine. At the end of the day, my job is a support. My job is a healing. That should be my first priority before damage, right? However, that rarely happens. That would be nice if that's the way the game worked. That would be nice if that's the way your teammates function. But one thing you need to learn is when you play support, when you play healer, you are essentially a babysitter. That's your job. You're not here to support them. No. You're here to babysit them. You're here to nurse them back to health. And if you know anything, because basically your tanks and your DPS, they are essentially what you could only consider as fucking toddlers. And if you know anything about toddlers, toddlers love to kill themselves. Toddlers are self-destructive machines of self-detonation, right? If anything exists whatsoever, they can and will find a way to kill themselves with it, right? So you gotta baby-proof everything for toddlers. You know, you gotta put like little cages around stairs, and you gotta like put rubber corners around and stuff, and try to make sure, because children, if you give them any chance whatsoever to kill themselves, they will take that chance, right? You know, it's like if you got a coffee table and it doesn't have a little rubber thing on the edge, right? If you got a coffee table, right, and it doesn't have a little rubber, if it doesn't have a rubber corner, then toddlers will run into it at Mach 10 speed and fucking slam their head as hard as they can into that coffee table. And that's basically what your DPS and your tanks are. That's what they're doing. That's what they love doing, is they're a bunch of little toddlers that are like running around and eating glue and then slamming their head into coffee tables, and then occasionally their head will fucking fall off. And at the end of the day, it's your fault as support if they do so. If they go in and they slam their head against a fucking coffee table and they die, that's your fault, and you are a neglectful parent. So, once again, it's a lot like babysitting. It's a lot like raising a child, except for you never get to see that child grow up and become an actual functioning human being, because the sad truth is they never grow up and they never become an actual functioning human being. Trust me, I've been doing this for almost a decade. It fucking sucks, because still, this community is a bunch of fucking children, right? So, of course, I could just put my clones around a bend, right, and just say, hey, let's defend this area. Let's just sit here and I can heal you. I do the most healing in the game if you just fucking stand here and act like a normal human being. But that's too much to ask. You have dumbass DPS who think space is just something that generates from the ether and is going to scream at your tanks, or super aggro tanks that are just going to go and scream, you know, make space, create space, bro, create space, push it, attack, create space, what are you doing, create space. So, of course, a lot of people want to push in. A lot of people just want to throw their lives away for no fucking reason at all when you're on defense. It's great. It's great, and it's really great for Loki when he has to fucking reposition his clones every 5 seconds because you're trying to kill yourself as fast as possible. And this happens a lot on defense on the push the payload on the Asgard map. I see this a lot. There's a very nice corner. There's a very nice bend that's very useful for Loki, and Loki's very strong there. Except for nobody wants to play around that because everybody's gay and lame. And you gotta play on the objective. Contest the objective. Play on the objective. What are you doing? Right? And your fucking DPS that's going 1-7 with Iron Man somehow 1 minute into the game is gonna be fucking yelling in your ear to go and contest the objective for no goddamn reason. And of course, Penny Parker takes that onto herself as, oh yeah, I should just stand on the objective and take Mondo back shots from spawn. Right? So, at the end of the day, that's my fucking problem when that happens. So, I can't just put my clones on the bend here. I can't just do that. That's too much to ask for. Right? So, I gotta be a little bit clever. I gotta work around all of that kind of stuff. And, if I put my clones in the line of sight of the enemy, they're gonna get popped. They're gonna get destroyed. And destroyed really fast, as long as people are focusing on the clones, or even if they're not. They just get caught in the line of fire and all of that, and whatnot. So, of course, you want to put them in places that people don't find, places that are a little bit, they gotta kind of go out of their way for it, but are still in line of sight, right? Something like higher ground is always nice, right? It's always super helpful, super useful, and it also gives you that sort of safety net that when you're scared, you can teleport to higher ground and slip away as you do, as Loki, as the king, the rightful king of Asgard, right? That's what you do. I just want to chime in here and give another little tip. Look for higher ground. That's something that's very useful. I don't know, like, you know, it's not, like, essential. You don't need to do it for Loki, but I find that going for higher ground and trying to keep as high ground as possible, especially on maps like the, what is it? The escort payload, the capture point, that escort payload on the Spider Islands or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what the map's called. For that specific one, the hybrid Spider Islands is very good on that. It's very good on a lot of maps. Look for higher ground. It's super easy for you to get to higher ground with Loki. You just have the teleport and all of that, and especially because your projectiles are slow, there's a big issue with your projectiles where if like there's an enemy in front of somebody, you can't heal them, right? You can't damage them in front of somebody who needs healing, and vice versa. So if someone really needs healing and there's enemies in front of them, this becomes a problem. Always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. So you can't heal somebody who is blocked by an enemy, right? Because you have projectiles as you're healing. And that's one of the reasons I also do like to throw out the clones on top of people. It is very useful for that too. If somebody is inside a clusterfuck and like circled around like a Bang Bros video, then you can do that. But like I said, it's very good at just going for higher ground, find higher ground. And because of how slippery you are as Loki, it's very hard for people to kill you. People will try to get you out of there. People won't like you, and they'll try to fuck with you. But at the end of the day, it's like, you got so much survivability. You got a teleport, you got the cloak, you got all these things, and if you're not in the fray, it just makes things so much easier just being outside of it, especially because of how easy it is to go in and out. So, once again, always keep that in mind, look for higher ground. That's super useful, but it's not essential at the end of the day. It's just something that I find that I'd rather do. So, of course, at points, you're going to want to have your clones spread apart. You're going to want to have your clones, and this is all up to your own discretion at the end of the day. You got to kind of find out and figure out, depending on the situation and depending what's going on, where is it best to place your clones, right? On higher ground, behind cover, you know, just in the middle of the fray. It all depends on the situation, and that call is really up to you to make at the end of the day. But here's what I say, and here's what I do. And this is the part that people are missing, is everybody wants to have all 3 clones active at once. That's kind of everyone's weird obsession when playing Loki. And while that's great, neat and dandy and all that, I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's not optimal. That's not great. I always say keep 1 clone in your back pocket as long as you can, right? All you really need to keep someone stable, all you really need to keep someone alive and do what you need to do is 1 clone at a time. That's it. Remember, you do as much healing as Luna Snow, a little bit more healing, in fact, as Luna Snow, with just one clone. That's all you need. It's just one clone, right? And keeping this one clone in your back pocket, it comes off cooldown, of course. So, I mean, if people aren't focusing on clones either, you'll have 3 clones and still have another clone in your back pocket. But I always like to try and keep one clone at all times for certain situations, and there's a lot of reasons for this, right? Don't just dump your clones as soon as you get them off cooldown. Don't just throw around your clones willy-nilly. This is why people think he's fucking low tier. Just because people aren't thinking about where they're placing their clones, people aren't managing their clones, they're throwing them around, and then they get popped, and then they have no clones off cooldown, and then all they're doing is running around without any clones, just shooting, 60 healing or 40 healing a shot, which is fucking nothing, and they can't do anything. And this is the reason I think people are thinking he's low tier. Don't do that shit. Keep a clone in your back pocket for desperate situations. And there's a couple reasons you want to do that. So, a lot of times, I keep one clone out. One clone out. If I get my clone off cooldown and I got another one, and then I can set it up on higher ground. You know what I mean? And if I can get 3 clones out at the same time, great. That's awesome. And Loki is very good at defensive positions. Just by, managing these clones properly and just keeping one clone at a time, at any point, if somebody is low, I save one clone just for if somebody is low. And I throw it right on top of them. Is it the best thing to do? No, not necessarily. Because you're almost ensuring that clone is going to get popped if you throw it right on top of them. But for starters, I'm fucking lazy. I don't want to reposition a clone and try to find the most optimal spot in every fucking situation. I can't do that all the time, and I don't care to do that all the time, and I'm fucking lazy. Second reason I put a clone right on top of a person when they're taking damage is because you also don't have to worry about that travel time either of the magic missiles. Now, it's not a massive deal if you gotta have a little bit of travel time, but it can make a difference, and it can be the difference in life or death in very specific situations, and I just don't want to take that chance. On top of that, I can OS it. I can option select it with my immortality field. I'll get a bit more into that later. So, that's basically the whole trick and gimmick with the clone. That's sort of the level 1 thing, is just kind of figuring out what I should be doing with these clones and how I should be managing them. And like I said, just always try to keep one on cooldown at all times, or one off cooldown at all times for desperate situations, right? If somebody is in a pinch and really, really needs that healing, then throw that clone. You don't need both clones out at the same time. All you need is one, and that's more than enough to do sufficient healing. But the very important reason that you want to try and leave one clone off cooldown a lot of times is you can teleport. This teleport is very good movement ability. And this is a very important thing to know with playing support, is a lot of people have this misconception that support is some kind of selfless role, that I give a shit about you if I'm playing support. And this is why I think Loki is the perfect character for me, because the truth is I fucking don't. And all I need is you to be the muscle, and I don't need to do jack shit. I don't fucking like you. In fact, as a support player, I fucking despise you. And I think you're a terrible, shitty human being, and I hate everything about you for playing DPS or tank or whatever the fuck, right? And I am the biggest selfish asshole there is when playing support. And the most important person on the team when playing support is, well, of course, fucking me. And I'm going to do whatever I can to survive. And it is very important to try and survive with support, because guess what? Everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone wants to fuck your asshole as support. Everybody's coming after you as support. So finding ways to survive is the most important thing you can do as support, and having some kind of a bit of survivability. And Loki is very good at that. Loki is very, very, very good at that, right? He has this cloak, which is true invisibility. He is gone, right? So as long as you can try and slip away from it, you can do that. Immortality field, I'll get more into that later. And of course, the teleport. The teleport is very useful, and it's very good in a pinch. There are so many reasons, because a lot of times you just need to get out of there quickly. And since he doesn't really have movement ability, this is his only real movement ability, right, is that teleport. So having one clone off cooldown can help you get out of combat very easily, and is very, very useful in a lot of situations, especially if people are coming after you. And remember, your clones stay wherever you are. So if I throw a clone up here, and the battle's going on right here, and I swap to this clone, these clones are still here, and they're still in the middle of the battle. And I can take a second, I can take a breather, I can slip away for a minute. Hopefully my other DPS isn't worthless and will carry my weight, right? And then I can come back, get the healing, throw down immortality field, do whatever I need to do, right? So, of course, it's very good at slipping out of combat, and is also very, and like I said, it's just a get-out-of-jail-free card in a lot of situations, as long as you keep that clone in your back pocket, just as a teleport, and really nothing more, and it doesn't need to be anything more, right? Something like Jeff the Shark. A lot of people fucking complain about Jeff. Jeff's ult. Jeff's ult, Jeff's super cheap. Why does everybody hate Jeff? Blah, 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 blah. Same 10 jokes. You know, it's the same fucking 10 jokes that everybody has when talking about fucking anything, because due to the recent state of the internet, people have lost any sort of creativity or personality that people once had. So, of course, there's the same 10 jokes regurgitated for the next 1,000 years to come. Everybody's talking about his ult. Oh, he has the best ult in the game. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody's on about his fucking ult. Look, man, his ult, the higher I get, the farther and farther I go up in ranks, and the more I play the game, the less I see any fucking use for it. And honestly, I just really can't say his ult is the best in the game. Is it bad by any means? Fuck no. Because if you do manage to eat a bunch of people, then you can get away with it. But once again, we got an option select here. The moment I hear Jeff do his voice line, which is, what is his voice line? He goes, nom nom. I think he only goes nom nom if he's on your team. But I'm just going to say it's nom nom. Right? The moment I hear nom nom, I got a clone in my back pocket. I throw it as far as I can. Right? Don't do anything. Don't just teleport randomly. Until you see that red circle, you have enough time. Until you see that red circle beneath your feet, then you teleport. Right? I hear that. I hear the voice line. I throw out a clone. And then I wait. I see the red circle. Then I teleport. Right? Give it a little option select. If you don't see the red circle below your feet, if Jeff goes for somebody else, if he's not going for you, then don't teleport. It's a waste of your time. But it's always nice to do that, right? And it's good in a pinch. You see someone coming after you, you can, of course, create some nice space with that and all of that kind of stuff. And this teleport is just very useful in so many ways because, once again, I can just throw out the clone. And, of course, I can get to higher ground. Now, I wish people didn't necessarily do this, but a lot of people fucking do. So people like to run away from their supports. There's a lot of people who are very scared of healing, right? But a lot of people in these games have healophobia. Right, so a lot of people are very scared of healing, and they will run from you at any chance they can get, while still expecting healing some fucking how. And this is something that's very nice, is, of course, I can teleport. I can get to higher ground. I can use these to get to places that I probably shouldn't be able to a lot of times, and gain a lot of mobility and go up to higher ground, which is something that some other characters like Mantis or Luna Snow can't do. They don't have that kind of mobility. If, let's say, for whatever fucking reason, I have a DPS going up there, Iron Fist or something, and they're fighting someone up there, Luna Snow or Mantis or something, all they can do is sit here and hope you come back to them to heal them, right? Or they can try to find a way up there, but good fucking luck. As Loki, I can go up there with you, right? I can follow you. And as long as I wait 10 seconds, I can come back and I can go as deep as I want. And the moment that I feel like you're just not worth it, that you're a pain in my ass, or whatever the fuck's going on here is too scary for me, I can leave. And it allows me to flank to some extent and still be able to support my team. Now, is it the best thing? Is it ideal? Yes, if they were better teammates, then yeah, they would work with me here and not do shit like that, but that's not what you can expect. It's not what you should expect, right? Sometimes you've got to play unoptimally to deal with dumb, unoptimal shit, right? In a perfect world, yes, people will play around you. People will do what they need to do to survive. People won't just run in and self-destruct every 5 seconds. and will try to stay in line of sight of their healers, or at least an earshot of their healers, so they can get healing anytime. But people don't fucking do this. So at certain points, you're gonna have to go with them, and that's something that Luna, Snow, and Mantis can't always do. But something that Loki can because of his teleport. And he can back out when he needs to because of his large amount of survivability. Oh, and one last thing about your immortality field. This is your only way to heal the clones. You can't heal the clones, right? They'll take damage, and there's no way to heal them except for this immortality field. So if you want to keep your clones a little bit longer than possible, then it's super useful to use this immortality field to keep it alive.
In front of us.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's like I can do this. But this is what I was talking about with placing the clone on top of them. Because I can place the clone on top of a guy who's about to die. And if my clone starts taking a shit ton of damage, I can OS this and see, okay, either if my clone's taking a shit ton of damage and I want to keep that clone around a little bit longer, or my ally's taking a shit ton of damage and I want to keep them around a little bit longer, I can throw that down the immortality field and get it basically keep the fight going a little bit longer. You know what I mean? So it's super useful at that. It's super useful at that. And I can just kind of OS it. And if I don't like the clone, if I don't think this is a good idea, if the guy's backing out, then I can just let the clone get popped and it's like, okay, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of, that's a big thing, is you got to kind of think ahead and you got to option select. So I already talked about this before, but it's like, okay, I can set my clones up in a safety space, and sometimes I'll just do this. We'll just set up a clone in a safe spot, and I can teleport to it at any time. And I can engage in a fight. Well, remember, all I need is one clone really to keep you stabilized. So if we have a fight going on right here or something, and I'm just doing some healing and all that stuff, I have a clone here. If things get dicey, I can back out at any point and teleport to that. But if we really need that third clone, then, well, I just set up another clone. And it'll take that clone down. If we're about to win this fight, or I think we can win this fight with, you need that extra boost, then, well, I just throw out another clone and take that other one down. It's not a big deal. Right, so but if it looks like we're losing, then I just teleport away. But you might think, okay, this is a lot of uses for the clones, this is all this bullshit, but you only have 2 clones, you know what I mean? You only got 2 clones, but this isn't true. You don't just have 2 clones. You got 3, and this is very useful. Having this third clone, this secondary fire sets a clone behind you. Now, it's about 15-second cooldown to go into this cloak. But you don't need it to go into the cloak, right? You don't need to go into the cloak. And the cloak is kind of situational, I'm going to be honest. I don't try to utilize the cloak to its full potential. It's useful in many circumstances, but not all the time. And a lot of times this ability is more useful just to tack on that extra little bit of damage, that extra little bit of healing, whatever you need to do with that second shot, right? And on top of that, you don't have to deal with the startup. So dealing with this clone has startup. If I set out this clone, it has startup, it has recovery, it has all that shit. I can't do anything while he raises his staff and he throws out the clone, right? That's something that I just don't have, right? But with this clone, you don't deal with that, right? With that secondary fire, you don't deal with that at all. There is no startup, there's no nothing with this. It just happens instantaneously. And that's very useful in a lot of very clutch situations. If I don't care where my clone is going to go, and this allows me to use this in a desperate situation when I need to, and use these for movement, right? I like to keep one clone on a person, right? Keep one clone into the fight at all times, and then one clone on my second cooldown so I can easily move around. And then this is for if I'm really desperate and I need to throw out that extra bit of damage, that extra bit of healing, especially if I'm going off and flanking with other people. If, like I said, anybody goes up, Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Black Panther, whatever, is going up this pillar here, and he's going to run off and he's going to try and hurt himself, I can go up here, and if we're in a conflict, I use this, right? And my clones are still back down there in the fray, and if I have time to wait 10 seconds, I can teleport down there, or just walk back like a normal person. It opens a lot of avenues, and this is very good, especially in a pinch, and you can throw out a lot of clones really fast. Let's say somebody else let's say somebody's dissing your home, right? Let's say somebody's trying to fuck with you, because people do. You're a support. People want to fight you, because if they kill you, no more healing. No more healing means you have a very big advantage, right? So let's say someone like Hela pulls up on me. Hela wants to kill me. Of course, right? Let's say Hela pulls up on me. Hela's a tough bitch. She's probably one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game. A lot of people unanimously agree that she is very good. She's probably one of the most popular characters in the game. She's almost on every single team at a decent level. And she's very good. She's very good. She pretty much two-shots you if she shoots you in the head. And this is a fight that I probably wouldn't take normally. You know, this is not a great fight for Loki, but this is a fight I can actually take. This is a fight that isn't necessarily a loss for me. So let's say she catches me with my pants down. I have no clones. She doesn't see any clones around. All my clones are off cooldown or whatever, right? And aren't around. And it's like, oh no, I'm just a little level 1 goblin. Please don't hurt me. All that kind of shit, right? And let's say somebody is dissing your homegirl. Then I can just hit him with one of these, right? I can throw out my clones super fast. Super fucking fast, if I know what I'm doing. Super fast. I can go from 0 to 100 just like that. Just, right? You want to go in, hold down your secondary fire, hold down your E, and then shoot. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Hold down E, or hold down secondary fire. You press your secondary fire first. Press E, and then you just hold down your left click. You hold down your primary fire. That's it. That's simple. Do it faster than I just did right there. But like I said, you can get really fast with it, and just like that, just in a blink of an eye, you got 3 clones. Or you got 3 shots there. You have 2 clones on it. And all you need to do is a 3-shot. Right? It's a 3-shot to kill. So she might think she has the advantage here. No. This is not a winnable matchup for her. There's no world, if I have all my abilities off cooldown, there's no world this is a winnable matchup for her. And once again, I can just throw that clone on top of her. These clones obstruct her vision. These clones block her to some degree, right? If I throw a clone up on top of her, she's shooting at me. She hits these clones instead because I just threw one right in front of her. That's a shot wasted. It doesn't take too long for me to kill her, right? On top of that, I can swap. I can try to make this as inconvenient as possible. And if she does manage to hit me, let's say she hits me in the head, if I have this immortality field, I'm good. This is a fight she cannot win. If I have all my abilities off cooldown, this is a fight she just cannot win. It's not gonna fucking happen. It's just not gonna happen.
My favorite trick.
It's super good. It's super good. Super cheap. Right? And you can just do it in a blink of an eye. In a second. It looks like I have no clones. Nope. You're outnumbered. Welcome to the fake taxi, bitch. Right? So. And that's the real power with this this secondary fire. Is it's basically just another very quick clone where you don't have to worry about the startup. And if you don't really care where it's going to position. So, of course, you want to save these for teleports. And then, finally, you want to save them for immortality field. Right? This ability right here is immortality field. Let's just get that out of the way. Notice how he's not taking any fucking damage? This is an immortality field. Let's just get this out of the way. And this is a big thing where it's like, I just can't imagine this character being low tier. This character being the worst healer in the game. And this is where it really gets ridiculous. Is everyone's going around saying that this is the worst healer in the game. Yet, you know, there's this game, right? There's this game,
As always,
called Overwatch. You might have heard of it. Not sure if you have. And in this game, Overwatch, there's this character, Baptiste. Baptiste had this ability called Immortality Field. And guess what? Immortality Field has to be one of the most bitched about abilities in all of Overwatch history. People bitch about it all the fucking time. Oh, it's so broken. Nerf Immortality Field. Blah, 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 blah. And been nerfed over and over again. But that ability is still inherently very fucking strong. And Loki has the same exact thing, but even better. The same exact thing, but even better. But of course, you gotta keep a clone off cooldown. Hold on to a clone, somebody's low, you throw it out, and then you throw Immortality Field. And that's the importance of having a clone off cooldown. On top of that, not only does it do that, not only is it just straight up Immortality Field, it has a larger radius because it's wherever you are, as well as the clones are, right? So that's just an overall larger radius. But, not to mention, it heals you. It heals you pretty much to full. So it prevents you from taking damage. It's not like it just does so much healing that you don't take damage. No, no, no. It literally prevents you from taking damage. You cannot take damage while inside of this thing. As long as that rune is up and that rune is not destroyed, you cannot take damage from it. You cannot take damage in the slightest. Right? I take no damage. Scarlet Witch ult, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you throw at it. If it's one quick explosion or whatever, I will not take any damage in the slightest. So, of course, you got to use it like Immortality Field. You got to know how to use Immortality Field, of course. And you got to make sure it doesn't go to waste. It's exactly the same as Immortality Field, but fucking better, right? And, of course, it's not going to protect you from everything under the sun, right? Something like Spider-Man's ult that has a bunch of hits over and over again, it's just going to destroy the runes and then kill you. So, it's not, you know, it's exactly the same as Immortality Field. Don't get too cocky with it, right? Of course, use it smart. But, I mean, once again, it does everything that Immortality Field does and more. It's very good. It's very, very, very fucking good. And of course, Immortality Field, one of the best things about Immortality Field is not only does, of course, it prevent somebody from dying, which is super strong, right? But also it's a deterrent. It's a big middle finger to flanks and dive and all that kind of stuff. If you try to fuck with me, fuck you, go away. That's what this is. That's what this tells you. This is a big go fuck yourself if I do this. If I use that shift ability. And I don't even need to set up a clone for that. And it's like, of course, yeah. So if this guy's about to die, if he's about to low, there's not only that startup for throwing out the clone, right? The clone has that startup as well as pressing the Immortality Field as startup, right? So you have to tackle on both of those, but don't sit here and pretend like Immortality Field doesn't have a lot of startup too. Right, Baptiste's Immortality Field has a shit ton of startup, not only just throwing it, but it's got the travel time as it's a very slow projectile, and it has to hit the floor and then bounce up. This is much faster when you take all of those into account, right? Well, yes, point blank range, if Baptiste just throws it at the floor, it's a lot faster. And the farther you are away from him, the slower it's going to be to activate because it has to take into account for that travel time. But you don't have to take into account for the travel time for Loki. I don't have to. As long as I can get that startup. And if you're close enough to me, if you're in walking distance, if you're brushing shoulders with me, I don't even have to waste my time with that one. I just throw down the Immortality Field. And as I said, it's a big middle finger to flanks and whatnot. They pretty much just have to leave. If you really think you can take me on, Spider-Man I think is super good. Spider-Man is the fastest character in the game, hands down. He moves super fast, right? Swings in at the speed of light and then webs you up the ass and then shoves his sticky fist up your butthole, right? And he does that the moment I get webbed, boom, throw this down. You just have to fucking go. You just have to leave. It's a very strong deterrent. Immortality is a very strong deterrent. Because what are you going to do? You're going to fight me? I take no damage whatsoever. I'm healed to full. You're not. I'm going to tell you this right now. I throw that Immortality Field. You just have to go. You are going to lose that fight. Because what? Are you going to destroy the Immortality Field? You're going to focus down the Immortality Field? By the time you do that, I've killed you. And you've already seen just how fast I can deploy these things. And if I have my team around, you're going to die even faster. I mean, it's just a 3-shot to kill you. And I don't even have to be precise with it. I mean, shoot at the floor. It's an explosion at the end of the day. So it's got a large radius too. You just have to go. It's the same exact thing as Immortality Field. Does the same exact shit. Right? That's the point. That's the point. And in a game without strong CC, this makes it even better. And I've talked about this before, but this game doesn't have great CC. What's the best CC move in the game? Probably Luna Snow's Ice Ball, right? It's probably the best CC in the move in the game. And by CC, I don't mean knockback and like knock around and whatnot. I mean more stuns and slows. There's not very many stuns or slows. And hell, there isn't even that many knockbacks or moves that knock you around, right? So like this is probably the best CC move in the game. This Ice Block, this Ice Cube. Super good. Freezes you for, you know, maybe a second or two. Super good. I mean, and then I can just line up 3 headshots with Luna Snow. Very nice, very nice. But really? Is this really that good in comparison to CC and something like Overwatch and in comparison to CC and something like Paladins? Right? This has mad startup. This is a stupid amount of startup. That's maybe 30, 40 frames. That's more than reactable. If I'm playing Iron Fist, I can just deflect that on reaction. I can do whatever I want to do as long as I have some kind of movement, as long as I have some kind of way to avoid it. Hell, if I'm playing Hella, if I see you do that, twirling your hands around, that's more than reactable. I just bird, go out of it, right? I can gain all of those iframes there. I'm invulnerable in doing this. You can't freeze me when I'm a bird, right? So the moment I see you twirling your hands around, I can just, on reaction, just do this. And then we party, right? You just wasted your one defensive option as Luna Snow. Really? This is the best healer in the game? This is your one defensive option, except for you're very fast when you start running, right? Of course, you're very fast when you start running. But I mean, as Loki, I can slip away, I can go invisible, I can teleport, I can give you a lot of cancer, I can, you know, of course, throw that in the immortality field. I have all kinds of moves to do this. And not to mention, not only does this have quite a bit of startup that's more than reactable, but of course it's a skill shot. I gotta actually hit this thing at the end of the day. And it's got travel time, and it's slow, and all of that kind of bullshit. Right? And then, like, let's look at other CC moves. This game just doesn't have a whole lot of CC, which is fucking awful. I think, at the very least, right? Something like Mantis. Mantis is a very strong CC move, right? This still has a bunch of startup, and if I hit you, it knocks you out of it, right? And your allies can knock you out of it as well. A lot of the CC moves in this game have very strange limitations. Who else is very good? Bucky, right? I played a lot of Bucky. Bucky's probably my second most played DPS, right? This hook, you know, something like a hook, right? Like Roadhog's hook, very good. Very good. You know, that's something you'd want. It's like you just pull them in, they're stunned, and you just, it's party time when you hit that, right? But this thing, it's got all kinds of weird limitations, just like everything else. Not only does it have a bunch of startup, but, I mean, look at that range. It's pathetic. You got to charge it up for it to be useful. So this is why, of course, Buckies are always fucking sitting around corners going, and then they hook you, and then they kill you. You know what I mean? Right?
Target neutralized.
And it's like, you'll always see Bucky's doing this. You always see Bucky's doing it. Is fucking standing around corners, and it's like, people get hit by this shit, but it's like, at some point, he's fucking loud as shit when he's doing it. It's kind of like Doomfist charging up his punch, where he's just going, he's glowing, he's going, You know what I mean? So it's like, that's, you know, that's what you got for stun. I mean, that's stun, and that's very good. But that's what Bucky does. That's what Bucky does. It's not like real, there's not a lot of real like CC, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of real deterrence, especially for a lot of these healers. A lot of these healers, if somebody's gonna rape them, all they gotta do, if they can't hit that CC and all that, they just gotta run around in circles like chickens with their head cut off and hope their DPS helps them out. Especially against someone like Psylocke, who's very slippery, very hard to hit. I mean, it's just, they're gonna have a bad fucking time. Right? So you need very good DPS who are going to peel in this game, and people just don't fucking do that. That's just not something that people do. Because people are dumb, selfish assholes. So of course I'm going to be a dumb, selfish asshole. And of course I've got this immortality field. And I'm going to use this on myself more than I'm going to use this on you. I'm going to be honest. Because once again, I'm more important than your fucking drooling dumbass. I'm the most important person on the team. Because if I die, nobody's getting healed. Right? I'd rather keep myself alive and my other support alive before I keep you alive. So everything about this is just good. Everything about this is just good. So let's break down the TLDR. The TLDR, the short version here, right? The general game plan and what I want to do with this character. All you need is one clone to get value. You just need one clone. He's about equivalent to other healers with one clone. He's about equivalent to Luna Snow. He's a little bit better than Luna Snow, in fact. And the more your team is grouped up, the even better this character works. This doesn't mean he can't flank. And he wants to always, you always want to keep one clone on cooldown. If somebody gets critical, if somebody in a really desperate situation, then throw out two clones. You know what I mean? Then you can go and sacrifice that other clone. But you also got this clone too. So don't forget that. And that's really a lot better for trying to top you off. I always like to keep one clone as a safety net. And I can use this to move around. I can use this to reposition. I can use this to do whatever I need to do. Like, look at that shit, you know? And I can get really high up, and then I can slip away. And it's really hard to kill me if I know what I'm doing, right? It's very hard to kill me. And I'm very slippery, and that's the point of Loki, right? And then I can, of course, just run off. I can help you flank. I can help you do whatever you need to do. And if I don't like you, I can leave whenever the fuck I want. Because, once again, I'm Loki. And then if in a pinch, in a team fight, I'm good. And if you're about to die, I'm good. I have this. And if you want to throw hands with me, I'm going to be hard to catch. I'm going to teleport around. I'm going to go invisible. I'm going to run away. I'm going to waste your fucking time. And I have that immortality field to keep me alive. But I think the rhetoric that a lot of people are going around saying he's the worst healer in the game, I think it's just spawning because people think the way you're supposed to play Loki is you want to have all 3 clones out at the same time. You just throw out all 3 clones, and they get destroyed, and then you cry, oh, my clones get destroyed too fast. Only use your clones when you need to. Try to keep 1 clone around you at all times. Only use your other clones when you need to. You got 2 more clones to work with here. This one, as well as just 1 more you should have in your back pocket. You don't need to use all of them. It's not necessary. And then finally, we have his ultimate. So this is one thing I got a lot is, okay, well, what makes Luna Snow the best healer in the game? Or Mantis, right? It's really a competition between those two. But a lot of people seem to be gravitating towards Luna Snow and telling people to switch to Luna Snow. Mainly because I think she has more team-up cohesion and whatnot. So people are just selfish assholes who want you to do their dumb team-ups, right? It's like people will get on your dick. People will ride all over your fucking dick, dude. People will ride all over your fucking dick, dude, and go, oh, you gotta run Luna Snow. Luna Snow's so good. Luna Snow's the best character in the game, and blah, 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 blah. And one of the reasons you give is, oh, she has one of the best ults in the game. She's one of the best ults in the game. Her ult is super good. And this ult is very good. There's no denying that, right? Basically, Zenyatta ult combined with, you know, you get that DPS boost too. It's very strong, very game-changing. And with the way this game works, with how strong a lot of the ults are, it's very good at countering ults. You know, something like Hela's ult as well, right? Basically just giving you, as well as your whole team, practically immortality, right? Very good ult. So it's like, oh, that's why you play Luna Snow over Loki, right? That's why you play Luna Snow over Loki. She has a better ult. You fucking dumb? You fucking stupid, dude? Do you not realize what my ult does? Are you not paying attention? Right? This ult allows me to copy either ally or enemy, whoever's in my line of sight. I can shapeshift into them, and I get your ult for free. Get your ult for free. Very good. Super good. Super cheap, right? Same thing with Luna Snow. Same thing with Luna Snow. And it makes it even better because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, whatever ults you have, I have as well. I have the best ult in the game because I have every ult in the game. How are you going to argue that Luna Snow has a better ult in the game? It's like, yeah, sure, Luna Snow has the better ult. Whatever you say, dude. Well, guess what? I have Luna Snow's ult too. And with how popular Luna Snow is and how many people are playing Luna Snow and how many people are being pressured into Luna Snow, guess what? It's very easy for me to copy Luna Snow's ult. And this essentially allows a little bit of level of unpredictability. I mean, it allows me to, basically, you can have 2 Luna Snow ults, which you're not normally going to get. You can run Luna Snow and Mantis, which both their ults are very similar. You know, just a large amount of healing for a period of time. But once again, it's like at the end of the day, I can take whatever ult I want that's convenient for the situation. Whatever's most convenient for the situation, I can grab it, right? And it also makes Loki very good at countering other people's ults. And I think this is one of my big problems with this game is a lot about ults are very important in this game. The ults are super strong in this game and stupid impactful, right? And something like Hela's ult is probably the best ult in the game. Probably the best ult. I'd say it's probably the best ult in the game, right? It's a very good ult. You know, you fly up into the air, you Hell Unleashed. It just does mondo damage and 2 shots enemies, right? 2 shots them, does the big explosion, and you get wall hacked, as you can see here. So it's a dummy good ult. It's a dummy fucking good ult. And she gains like 1,000 health when she does it too. So when she goes and pops that ult, when you hear Hell Unleashed, you pretty much just gotta run. Unless you have another ult to counter it, or you can kill her, or you got Doctor Strange, right? If you got Doctor Strange, you can fly up there and block the projectiles, and then you can focus her down. But at the end of the day, it's like you kind of already have to have an advantage and all of that kind of stuff. And you gotta have the right characters at the right time and do all that kind of thing. In certain circumstances, Hela uses that ult, you just gotta run. If you don't have another ult to counter it, if you don't have whatever you have to counter it, you just gotta run. And the enemy team is just gonna push you over. Unless you can get out of line of sight over Hela. And she has wall hacks and all this shit. So it's just, like I said, there's not a whole lot of counterplay to it other than, you know, Doctor Strange or another ult to counter it at the end of the day. However, something like Loki, This makes it super easy. Because she flies up in the air, she makes herself super obvious. She has no cover, no nothing, and that's the point. And guess what? I can steal that shit. I see her, you go Hell Unleashed, I go Hell Unleashed. And you want to throw hands, you want to kill all my guys, right? It's like super easy to capitalize on this. You know, it's super easy to get results with this ult. And it's like, you want to go in, and you want to basically secure an objective, you want to do whatever with that ult. If you're going to kill 2 of my guys, I'm going to kill 2 of yours. If you're going to kill 3 of my guys, I'm going to kill 3 of yours. We'll go ban for ban. If that's the game you want to play, we'll play that game. I'm fine with that, right? I'll just steal her ult. If she uses her ult, I'll use mine. And a lot of game-changing ults can be just beaten with my ult. Right. It makes me... It's super good. It's super fucking good. So, you know, something like Luna Snow ult. If Luna Snow goes in and uses her ult, she starts dancing around. A lot of time, that's your cue to push in. You push in, I'm going to use the same ult back. You go in, you use Luna Snow ult, I'm going to copy Luna Snow ult. And we're going to have a dance party, and nobody's going to die. Just counter her ult straight up. So we don't have to play this game. Right? And I can do the same thing. I can do the same exact thing with like something like Jeff's ult. I already told you about the Jeff OS. Jeff goes, nom nom, right? I throw out that clone. If he goes underneath me, I teleport. I'm never going to get eaten by that dumb fucking shark. Right? And if he eats up like 4 of my guys and he's about to roll off the cliff, he's about to do whatever he's going to do, then I can copy his ult, and then I can eat up my guys back when he spits them out. And I can counter his ult. It happens. You can do that. That's what you should be doing. Right? Whatever ult you can throw at me, I can throw the same thing at you and counter it back. It's very good. It's very fucking good. And just what I mean, at the end of the day, it's just whatever ult is very convenient. And as well as, it's not exactly like Echo's ultimate. Because like Echo, when she uses her thing, when she uses her ult, she basically she regenerates the full, and if you kill her, she goes back to full health. But I mean, here's the thing: when I use my ult, I regenerate the full as well. I regenerate to whatever your HP is as well, and I get your ult too. So it's not half bad just to use it, just to keep you alive, if that's really necessary. There are times where I've used it like that. It's not a terrible idea. You know what I mean? I said, okay, that's weird. Yeah, but you'll come back with the same amount of health you already had. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, at the end of the day, this character is good at a lot of things. And to say he's the worst healer in the game, which a lot of people are, or at least one of the worst, is simply ludicrous. It's simply ludicrous. He's so good at so many things and does so many and offers so much that other characters really just don't offer, and has so much going for him. But like I said, it's just people are throwing around the clones, they're getting destroyed, and then they're running around without any clones, and it's like, well, he does no fucking healing, he has no teleport, he has no way to throw out an immortality field, and he's fucking useless when you're doing that. And basically, people are just playing him like a fucking, I don't know, a fucking cannon minion or some shit, right? And that's why it's just like, that's why this character gets so much shit and is low tier, is because you're just throwing away your clones and not thinking about it. This is really how the character is supposed to be played, I think, is you move in and out, you do what you need to do, and you use your clones when necessary. Don't just throw them around willy-nilly. They're a resource that needs to be managed just like anything else. You're not fucking immune to that shit. And this reminds me of Guilty Gear, right? This reminds me of another game, Guilty Gear Strive, and another character, which is Nagoriyuki. So, Nagoriyuki, upon the game's release, there's this character Nagoriyuki, and he's this big samurai motherfucker, right? He's this big vampire samurai guy. And a lot of people said the character was low tier, bottom 3, one of the worst characters in the game. He was unplayable, and the reason people said that is because people were just fucking stupid. For starters, he was a little on the unorthodox side because he was like kind of slow. He was kind of sluggish. He didn't have like an air dash, which was normal. So there was just certain things that he just didn't have that other characters in this game had, which made him at first be like kind of unorthodox. Right? People are really stupid. And the way people were playing him is he'd basically do this thing where he was super powerful, he was super strong, But if he used too many abilities, then he would go into what's called blood rage, right? And when he went into blood rage, he'd fucking kill himself. He'd drain all of his health. And he'd lose a shit ton of health rapidly, but he'd get these massive strong normals, right? All of his normals would become juiced. They'll have these like blood strikes and whatnot. So it's kind of supposed to be like a double-edged sword was the point. And people thought that's how you play the character. How you play the character is you go into blood rage, and then you just swing around and hope you win. And it's like, no, that's fucking stupid, and that's not what you're supposed to do. And the moment you go into blood rage, you're basically dead. That's a losing fight. All they have to do is block, and you'll pretty much just kill yourself, right? Then people started just like not doing that, but it didn't really matter in the end because a lot of people were just saying that it just wasn't worth it in the first place, that he was too limited by this blood rage because nobody could manage his resources properly. But then people figured out, maybe let's just not do that. Maybe just don't go into blood rage. And people just played a very basic poke, fundamental base game plan with large normals and then got results that way. And wow, he went from basically the worst character in the game to the best character in the game without any patches, no updates, no nothing. It's just people figured out how to play it. And we're just like, whoa, maybe if I just don't act like a fucking idiot and go into blood rage, this character's actually really strong and really good if I'm just not stupid and I have a working brain and thumbs, right? That's all you need. That's all you fucking need. But there's this massive rhetoric going around for like the first month or two of the game that Nagoriyuki was the worst character in the game. And then it turned out that he was the best, and everybody was playing it. And the reason he became the worst character in the game, and everyone said he was the worst character in the game, is because some dumb asshole on the internet went around saying that he's the worst character in the game, because they're stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And it's the same thing here. Nobody's bothering to try to play Loki. Nobody's playing him well. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. And some dumb asshole said, well, he's the worst healer in the game. So then a bunch of other dumb assholes who don't really care and just want to milk out content and make tier lists and shit just because, you got to make your tier list before everyone else does, go in and they just say, well, this guy said he's the worst character in the game and this guy's pretty good, so I'm just going to say he's the worst healer in the game as well. And then now everybody thinks he's the fucking worst healer in the game. It's the same thing with Nagoriyuki. But this character just, on paper, I mean, you just look at everything he has and he's super good. And has a lot of useful shit that other characters don't have. You just don't be stupid. Now, is he the best healer in the game? I don't think that. I don't think he's necessarily the best. But there's a lot of value into him, and saying he's the worst is ludicrous, because he's definitely not the worst. But yeah, that's about it. Peace.